Hi everyone, I'm Emily Longeretta.
And I'm Michael Schneider, and welcome to Variety's Awards Circuit, where we're looking at some of the key television categories in this year's Primetime Emmy race. And this time out, we're looking at Outstanding Drama. So Emily, kick it off.
We're gonna kick it off with, what else could we start with but The Crown.
It's a system, for better or for worse. We're all stuck in it.
63 noms in the past, 21 wins. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And this season, not as popular, I would say, as past seasons, but still in the conversation, very much so.
Yeah, and you're coming off a 2021 just domination by this show. Best drama, directing, writing.
I think that it's so important to note that the Academy loves The Crown. There's no denying that. So regardless of how popular it is or isn't, this season is something that they are looking forward to showing off.
Yeah, coming off the coronation of King Charles in real life, the fact that it has been sort of top of mind for a lot of folks the past couple of months, that keeps the Crown definitely a top contender.
That's very true. We should look into that. I bet those Netflix numbers have gone up. If only they would tell us if they had gone up.
They never will.
They never will.
You know, something that we do know how it performed over the years was Better Call Saul at AMC.
Your favorite.
Take your time. That's him. Would you be surprised to learn that the person you just pointed to is not the defendant?
Better Call Saul has had 46 nominations over its entire history and its entire run. How many Emmys has this show won, Emily?
A big fat 0.
This is a crime. It's
really
a crime
is.
against television. It's a crime against good television. And this is the last chance for Emmy voters to rectify that.
Every actor is so talented, and the story just keeps getting better. The last season was absolutely excellent.
Oh, you know who they added? Oh, Carol Burnett.
No big
Let's
deal.
just throw her back in too. This is a show that actually managed to stick the landing. You know, not a lot of shows have this kind of drama and this kind of story attached to it can satisfy the audience in the way that Better Call Saul did.
And this year we have some guest stars that could also grab a little Emmy nom for Better Call Saul. Of course, Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. Spoiler alert if you somehow haven't caught that, but they pop up in the last season. So there's also that chance that maybe that would get a nom.
Even though Better Call Saul was on last year for these final episodes, I do feel like it's maintained its buzz.
Speaking of shows that have a lot of buzz around them, I mean, House of the Dragon is one that people have been talking about all year.
Who else would have a claim?
The firstborn child.
Rhaenyra. No queen has ever sat the Iron Throne.
Of course, this is the Game of Thrones prequel series, and it won the Globe
Game of
this year.
Thrones, I've heard of that.
I think you've heard of it, maybe, possibly. This one won the Globe this year, but it's brand new, and there has been, you know, mixed critics who sometimes they love them, sometimes they don't.
So there is a lot of fantasy, especially this year, because you also have Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Chance that those fantasy shows actually sort of cancel each other out, and maybe then you get other genre shows that perhaps come in, and you know, the genre show that really dominated this year, and I think has a super huge chance of being nominated, is of course The Last of Us.
I'm not family.
No. You're cargo.
A show based on a video game, which up until now, there really hasn't been a breakout hit television show based on a video game.
And I would say this, in a way, almost brought back appointment viewing, I will say. I think that this is one of the shows of the year that people were talking about the next morning on Twitter immediately, or the night of on Twitter. They were talking about at work. It's the water cooler show of this year, and the cast completely blew everyone away. I mean, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, such a dynamic duo.
Just the creativity of Craig Mazin and his team in coming up with something that was really special and really felt original in a world where maybe zombie shows shouldn't feel original. I do think it's a show that sort of lasted a lot of people's minds, pun intended.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of below the line love that could get too. I mean, it is beautiful to watch, and there's so much that goes into that, and so much that we've talked to so many of these people who are working behind the scenes on creating this atmosphere and the music and everything around it, that this show, I think, is going to take home a lot of nominations. at least.
A lot of guest stars as well. This is a big year for guest stars. I mean, Melanie Linsky and Nick Offerman.
Yeah, Murray Bartlett, who we already know the TV Academy likes so much.
From a little show called...
Just this little show called The White Lotus. You guys may have heard of it.
Whenever I stay at a White Lotus, I always have a memorable time. Always.
Took home 10 Emmys, 20 nominations, including Best Limited Series, writing, directing. It won SAG Drama Ensemble. And I mean, this season just as great as the last,
yeah.
if not maybe better. So I
Yeah.
think this is one, obviously, we should be keeping an eye on. And I want to say, of course, Jennifer Coolidge is the person that has been really the face of this show, and once again will probably be nominated. But I think there's so many people in this ensemble that make this show so great that could also get some love.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What's interesting, obviously, with the White Lotus is that it is moving to the drama category because you had some of those stars like Jennifer Coolidge sticking around for season 2. But I think it's still just as much in the mix as it was last year in Limited. So looking forward to seeing more
There's
from
a lot
that.
of category switches around this year, which is nice. But I think that some things stay the same, and we love a good ensemble.
Yes. And Yellow Jackets is probably one of the biggest ensembles.
There was a place called the wilderness. It was beautiful, but it was also violent.
You have those two timelines, you have present day characters, and then of course you have them as teenagers as they were stuck in the mountains eating each other.
No big deal.
Which, the show went full cannibal this year, which shout out to Yellow Jackets for going there. But, this is still a show that there's a little bit of genre, but so much mystery to it, but also there's kind of a true crime aspect to it. It's also funny. I mean, the Yellow Jackets could go in the comedy category.
And there's like a teen drama aspect too. Like there's some romance. There's everything thrown into this.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's two different groups of actors, including a lot of icons. I mean, the adult actors are people that we have been watching for years. Once again, Melanie Lynskey, she's everywhere this season.
Yeah, Christina Ricci.
Yes, Juliette Lewis. There's so much talent in this show.
Yeah, there's the Yellow Jackets, and then there's the
Yellowstone.
Yes,
So
not to be confused.
yeah, very different shows.
Very different shows.
I, John Dutton, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the state of Montana.
The entire cast has been really, really great. So I wouldn't be surprised if this got another nom.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were expecting more noms last year. It's been a slow burn for the industry to really embrace it, but it's definitely a show that everyone knows about. The issue of whether or not Kevin Costner is continuing, is keeping it in the conversation, like you said, good or bad, it's in the conversation.
Yep.
And I do think as Yellowstone also sort of starts to march toward the end of its run, people are paying attention to what sort of awards is it going to get before that show ends.
Absolutely.
The show that we haven't mentioned yet is the show that will dominate. I mean, this is the show that's going to steamroll over
Safe to assume.
the Emmy race in many categories this time is, of course,
Succession.
He's on the floor, Tom.
Explain to me what he's doing.
He's moseying, terrifyingly moseying. It's like if Santa Claus was a hitman.
13 wins, including Best Drama in 2020 and 2022. 48 noms overall. It sounds like 13 is nothing compared to 48, but I'm thinking 13 wins, that's a lot of wins.
And these were in some of the biggest categories.
Yeah.
And I think it's only going to get even bigger this year because it's what everyone is talking about.
Every episode, every single episode, there's a performance that I was like, that's going to win an Emmy.
This cast, Sarah Snook, I mean,
Kieran Culkin, who broke your heart
Jeremy
in multiple
Strong.
episodes.
I mean, I don't know what else we need to say about Succession.
Yeah.
I think you all know already. We should maybe move on to our picks for the shows that are bubbling under that we would like voters to consider. Emily,
All right.
what show haven't we talked about yet?
I'm actually going to go with 1923.
This is the Yellowstone, and you have no rights here.
Yellowstone universe series led by, of course, Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren.
They're A-list icons.
Literal icons.
And now they're television stars, like you said. They weren't a couple years ago,
No.
but now they are front and center.
I mean, I would say it's the strongest of the Yellowstone shows so far. And it's not just them, it's also the supporting cast. It's really great. I would love to see 1923 get a nomination.
Yeah. I'm going to surprise you with my pick. I mean, you know me, I'm a huge Bridgerton fan, right? Nonetheless, Queen Charlotte has been quite a revelation.
Your Majesty.
Hello, Charlotte. I'm George.
I would maybe argue it's the best of the three Bridgerton.
I would agree with you.
So far?
I would 100% agree with you.
There's something that really interesting and special about just the relationships on the show, also diving into mental health and a lot of the subjects that the show explores. The cast is fantastic. We get present day Queen Charlotte, present day being still the Regency era, but nonetheless, and then young Queen Charlotte, and I think it should be in the conversation.
I would 100% agree with you. Strongest of the Bridgerton group. Shonda Rhimes has won me over.
give this Shonda Rhimes, every deal.
Yes.
I think she's going to go places. So,
I like that. I like that idea.
all right. Well, I think that's it for now. So please join us again next time for another edition of Award Circuit.
Thanks for watching.